Really excited to have Chase Blake, Associate Athletic Director for Development at UNC Greensboro, also my alma mater. So Chase, thank you so much for being here today. As you can see there, we're going to be talking about strategies that FCS and 1AAA leaders are using to drive six-figure growth. We've seen over the course of the last 15 years at E-Team Sponsor, really alignment between athletics, advancement, and development really is what wins the day. And what we want to talk about today is really transforming the relationship from you leading your athletic departments, your coaches, advancement, development, really to generate the most revenue that you possibly can. So really, three things that we want to get accomplished today. Number one, equip you with the tools necessary to bring value back to your campus. As we say, we want this to be positively impacting you all here while you're in this session, but also meaningful enough to bring it back to your institution and implement it. Number two, best practices to engage coaches, advancement, development, however that is set up on your campus. We got some great stuff to go through with Chase today. And then really just repeatable and scalable models for short-term and long-term fundraising success. We want to, again, try to give as much information as we possibly can to help you close that revenue gap. So we'll start with, we understand that through advancement and development, there is this challenge. The challenge is right down here at the bottom, donor acquisition, right? Between athletic departments and those budgets rising year after year. President, this is the direction that we want to go with the institution. Advancement, focus on these two or three things over here. We know that, again, the amount of money that you need to raise every single year, it only goes up. So what we're going to focus on today is not so much the top of the giving pyramid. We're going to really focus down at the bottom, donor acquisition, because that's what we do at E-Team Sponsor. Since 2010, we've created peer-to-peer, annual fund, giving day, event fundraising campaigns for institutions just like yours. And like I said, we're going to walk through how that's worked out at UNC Greensboro here today. We understand the challenge as well from the athletic side. We understand athletic fundraising. I've yet to meet a coach who feels like their budget is sufficient. Having been a coach, coached at the high school and two-year college level out in California, I know exactly what that's like. And that athletics typically is going to have to expand their reach. They're going to have to leverage an affinity community to raise more money above and beyond their operational budget. We also understand the tug of war that exists between that and advancement and development-led fundraising. There's a lot that needs to get done every single year, from managing annual fund, alumni, major gifts. You've got control, transparency requirements, all of those things. And so without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump on in. Just athletics and development and alignment within the athletic department. Share a little bit about UNCG's athletic department and development strategy on an annual basis.
Obviously, thanks for having me up here. Obviously appreciate the relationship with you guys and helping us out over the last couple of years that we've utilized E-Team Sponsor. But with us, obviously the annual fund is key. Our athletic director, whom I'm sure many of you guys know, Brian Mackin, is key and really heavy emphasis on fundraising. And this is a big main focus for us. And it was a challenge when he first got there. When I first got there, we had kind of lost a little bit of touch from the local community. We're losing some of our ticket sales on the basketball side of things, but we're also losing some of our enrichment funds. Also kind of with the attendance and population on campuses going down, obviously that does impact our athletic budget. So as soon as he came in, hired me, that's kind of what we kind of really went in on in terms of trying to maintain our teams enrichment funds, operation funds, and things like that. So we're always looking for ways to improve that, make it easier, make it really efficient for us too. So this one was really a good thing that came to our lap from a Spartan, which is always good as well to kind of team up that way. But a really huge emphasis on communication and finding easy ways to attract folks to give. I know we take a whole lot of time to find ways to engage, interact, solicit those types of things. So anytime you can do it easily and make it more efficient for that donor to do and facilitate, then we're all for it. And so this has helped immensely for us. So glad to talk about it more today as well.
Awesome, thanks, Chase. Talking about philosophy and strategy, I know typically the alignment between athletics and advancement. There's a lot that goes into that. We'll definitely spend time, digging into exactly how we were able to raise almost $300,000 with you. But Talk a little bit about managing that relationship on campus. What strategies did you and the athletic department employ brokering that relationship with Advancement to get it approved?
Yeah, so this took a little while on the Advancement side. So we are housed under the foundation at the university, so we are not our separate 501c3. So certainly had to go through those avenues. And, once we kind of approached those and kind of gave it an ROI, so to speak, and kind of what we can get out of what we're going to put into it, it was kind of a no-brainer for them. We just obviously had to properly facilitate it, make sure they knew where everything was going. We don't want to over-communicate as well. That's always a something in the back of our minds. We don't want to hit people too much and too often. So that was obviously a thought there. But kind of with this is kind of separate from an alumni base, so to speak, because it's mostly our student athletes and their families, friends, coaches that they grew up with, those types of folks. So it doesn't really cross over too much. Now, there are certainly ways you could probably do that and utilize it more on that front. But mostly, it definitely, obviously, you want to communicate and maintain those communications and kind of update on what's going on, what those numbers look like. And anytime we're able to showcase these types of numbers, six figures that come in, with the good work on the foundational side of things, there's some time, effort, and energy to that. But after the fact, it's pretty cool to see it roll in various different ways and kind of throughout 2, 3, 4 month periods. So, but obviously communication, you guys know, you just got to make sure that you've got everything, your T's crossed, your I's dotted before you do anything like that, and make sure that everyone knows and everyone's on the same page. So I think we've done a good job with that, and they're obviously on board with the results.
Awesome. What were some of the keys to getting buy-in from coaches, development staff, others across the institution?
I think, to be honest, so Sean was a baseball student athlete. I don't know if you said that, as an alum. And we utilized them, I think, kind of as the guinea pig, so to speak. And then they raised $30,000 in about a month, which is a good number for them. And that goes to direct support. And we kind of showcased that as the guinea pig, as I said. And we that was a slow roll out, because we did baseball, then we did softball, maybe a month later after that. And then I think our coaches and other teams, once we kind of brought it to them, they were obviously more willing and engaged to participate, right? When you see 50, 75, 100 different people give, and you can raise $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 just off a simple meeting with the student athletes. But I think anytime our coaches know that they can bring in some money, obviously they are ready and willing. Obviously there's a few that, I don't want to say hem and haw, but aren't maybe not as into it as some other coaches are. But I think once they see the results and kind of the necessary things to do to kind of get it together, it's really not too much of a workload on them, because I think our coaches kind of want to focus on their team, want to focus on their schedule. We also tried to schedule it around their seasons. When we initially did this, like I said, we did baseball in August and September the first year, did softball, and then we did a few in the spring. But this past year, we did everything in the fall, kind of as a one fell swoop. And it also leaves you open for opportunities to do it again in the spring. So fit if you want to see something on like a championship run, or just kind of a reach out and redo it again and see what you might be able to pull in. But I think once they saw baseball and softball's success, which I think all of our schools have a few different alumni bases that might be a little stronger than the others, but I know our baseball and softball groups are really heavily involved with those parents, and so I think it kind of showed and showcased that it can be something good if you put some effort into it, but it takes a little bit of a push at the beginning.
Yeah, alignment's key. Alignment is key. Talking a little bit more about, we've got some year-over-year data here that you're looking at on the screen from year one, which I think was 2023. We kicked that off, and then 2024 we saw a little bit of a jump there, which was great. But in terms of your experience with the actual fundraising efforts itself, you were able to experience what that looks like from the student athletes in a launch meeting, how that went. For those of you that don't know, being able to, the student athletes log into our application, they can text, post on social media, and upload potential supporters as part of an email campaign. So true peer-to-peer ask. And once they participate, 30 minutes, they go back to being a student athlete. Maybe you can share a little bit about just what was your experience seeing the launch, and I'll pull up some
I think
launch.
Once we kind of got them all in the room, obviously we know that's a challenge in and of itself, getting everyone from practice or class and all that good stuff during the day. So we tried to schedule it around on 1 or 2 days. I know you guys came into campus a couple of those days to kind of help walk those teams through. Obviously, we kind of learn, and I've learned a lot through the last couple of years on using the system, so feel pretty comfortable in doing it and creating these, but obviously helpful to have a staff member there. But once we get everyone in the room, we basically tell them it's going to take 30 minutes, and after the fact, then it's on you. It's on the student athlete, it's on the coach. We want to just help them be there, be that platform that they can utilize, and kind of obviously explain to them that the effort that they put forward is what they're going to get out, and kind of knowing that every dollar that goes to their platform is going to go right into their team enrichment fund. Obviously, you guys can set it up how you deem fit, but that's all of our programs have their own specific team enrichment fund, and all those dollars go directly to them. So just wanted to make sure our coaches know the importance, and then kind of trickling that down to the student athlete, because then that's a part of the education piece that we also try to instill in our student athletes as well, because we obviously want them in the next 10, 15, 20 years to then ultimately give back to the next crop of student athletes. So as long as you get them in the room, explain it, it's pretty simple and then it's just kind of on them. Just want to make sure that you put the onus on them to see what they can do.
Yeah, I think you and the athletic department's done a great job of building really a culture of philanthropy and explaining to the student athletes why that's so important to be a part of that. And again, that will come full circle one day. In terms of looking at repeatable and scalable fundraising, before E-Team Sponsor was on the UNCG campus, there were other ways to be able to raise money. Compare and contrast what you guys were doing before versus how the last 2 years have gone with this.
So definitely didn't have any type of platform like this that we utilize besides our giving days on the university side of things. So we use the university-wide advancement platform on there. But other than that, it was really just the mailers, the phone calls, the visits, kind of the old school traditional type stuff that we all do and still use to this day, obviously, because I think that's from this, you're able to pull those and kind of have a much larger conversation with some folks that you might kind of pop up and kind of catch your attention, so to speak, from a larger gift off of an email, right? So this is a new wave for us. I've been at UNCG now 3 years. Anniversary was last week, so really
Congrats.
Just kind of utilizing this in my time there. So it's good to be in Greensboro, as you know. But we didn't really do anything much like this, and we've seen a really good donor count increase. Typically, we were around 800 to around 1,000 annual donors. And this in and of itself got us, I believe, 1,200 to then 1,400 different donors this past year. Maybe I'm a little overselling it, but a good uptick. And obviously, those are folks that we now have information on, are able to prospect research, check in. Now, a strong percentage of them are probably just the one-time folks. It's the dentist back home for someone in Texas or Florida. But then obviously you'll have parents that are obviously key potentials that we can get kind of in our portfolios and really want to go after, so to speak. So it's really helped us. It's new, so we're still learning the capabilities of it, right? But obviously, the more data you have, the much better chance you have of obviously outreach, and then those communication pieces, and you kind of go from there.
Cool. How are you using the data to identify more donor prospects, segment communications? How are you moving them through the giving pipeline?
So it can be tricky with that amount of number of people, those donors, right? Sure. So, this past year we had over 1,200 folks. We've been able to kind of narrow down a few through just our university's research. We've got folks on campus that help do our prospect research, but obviously we do some of our own in the office, just wanting to see if someone gave $1,000 just from an email or a text message from their daughter, their cousin, what have you, then that's probably a good person to kind of take a look at. So we've utilized that, had some larger gifts this past year from some repeat donors. I ran our numbers a couple weeks ago. I was curious to see how many folks made a gift 2 years ago that made one this year. Obviously, it's not a perfect science, with the transfer portal, people graduating, so it's not going to be a pretty number. We had around 35% of our donors of that 2,500 donors over the last 2 years that made a gift in 23 that have also made a gift, or excuse me, 23, 24, 24, 25, which is interesting data. And actually, we just had a phone call with you guys last week on the donor intelligence side of things, which we didn't truly have. I don't think it was totally ready this last year when we were doing this, but was playing around with that donor intelligence, and I'm sure you can kind of go in on that. It actually gives us a better wealth score on a lot of people than some of our systems do, our CRM on campus, which is really cool to see. It kind of spells it out on some capacity, where they give, how much they're giving to other organizations as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to kind of diving deeper into that donor intelligence that you guys have on this platform.
Cool, like that. Great, yeah, and I think as we talk more about donor intelligence that's baked into our platform, just, I guess, more visibility equals, we say internally, visibility equals velocity. The more you can see, the faster you can move. Any of those types of stories that you have in terms of taking, maybe a one-time gift, that donor acquisition first time, moving them through to becoming an annual giver, or maybe even major gift?
Yep. Well, there's a few that stand out. We've got a few women's soccer, some softball folks too, that when we did this a couple of years ago, it was brand new, but I was kind of surprised, honestly, to how many people attached to it and really enjoyed it. I think we presented it well. I think that's key. You don't want to just put a web page up there, a picture, and a crummy video that really doesn't get anything or doesn't explain anything. Because I'm pretty big on listing tangible items on things, because I think nowadays more people want to know exactly where their dollar's going, whereas I think 20, 30 years ago was more just a general pot, and that's kind of what people wanted to do. But now that we can be much more tangible, people have grasps to it, and there's a handful of, like I said, those women's soccer players and parents that we've been able to talk to, get in front of, kind of explain it more, because they made a larger type gift that first go around. Obviously that, a light bulb moment for us, let's go contact that person, which then turned into a major gift for us and for the team. So hopefully to see more of those this year, kind of off some of our donor intelligence research on our end, those types of things. But certainly a positive results that's been better to me than I honestly thought it was going to be. So
that's great. That's great to hear. Thanks for that. With regards to working, you think about improving or making workflows easier for people. I know you and I have had conversations in the past around what are some of the things that in your role maybe are challenges for you, but you're looking for easier ways to do your job. Are there certain workflows that you've seen improve because of this?
Obviously the donor count and the money that rolls in, right? I don't want to say it was easy or free money that comes in, certainly, because we obviously did the groundwork, setting all the pages up respectively for each team, making sure all the student athletes got their contacts in, got the videos in, talking to the coaches, saying, hey coach, what do you need? What do you want on this page? Laying all that stuff out. And then obviously with the emails that do go out, the text message reminders, those types of things, want to make sure those are spelled out right and not just super generic, right? So you want to make sure they're more personal and not just one of those emails that you might see that you kind of get, or text that doesn't feel as personal as you would like, to where I think if you're able to put the name or put a more specific, hey, this is going to go feed the team for this game, or this is going to help travel to Texas or whatnot this season, I wanted to be more tangible. So I think that's helped us on that, and it's helped us get in front of more people. That's probably the bigger thing, because it's a shop there's two of us, right? So there's really not much that we can do to get to 1,200 different donors. That's impossible, especially, knowing kind of our demographic, our alumni base, is a little unique. It's different than some schools. Obviously, we don't have football either. Not that that's the driving force of everything, but certainly a big piece that can bring in some more donors. But it can help from a communication standpoint, and obviously finding those newer donors that obviously when they make a gift, that's kind of showcasing that they're of interest, and then that gives us a chance to outreach to them and see if there's anything more to come of that.
Love it. So Chase had mentioned previously that there's a launch process. So our team actually works with, we have a staff that will work with folks like Chase to help set up these individual pages. This is a live scoreboard that would be that 30-minute meeting with your student athletes. This is Southern Utah. This is their football page. Zooming in here a little bit, you'll be able to see we've created a competition within the scoreboard and really the action that they're taking. So they'll be able to see from a points total standpoint who's raised the most or who's generated the most points based upon the actions that we're asking them to take. We have a family share function where we're actually allowing the student athletes to include mom and dad, not necessarily as part of the ask, but to help log into the student athlete's account to help them with the network of potential supporters. So they may not have access to all of the contact information that maybe mom and dad do. That helps them get to that friends and family type network, as we call it, the Know, Love, and Trust group. We have a texting component, social media component, and then uploading potential supporters as part of the email as well. It's timed. There's a countdown. It creates for a very engaging process, and that's the action that the student athletes are taking. From a coach's or athletic director's standpoint, being able to log in and track the progress. This is something that Jeff was going to be talking about with regards to SUU football, but being able to go in and identify, again, how are we tracking? How are we tracking versus last year's campaign? How are we tracking versus our goal? How much are we averaging on a per participant basis? We're averaging nationally with the four-year colleges about $800 per participant. So we say, take the number of student athletes in your athletic department, multiply it by 800. That's typically what you could look at from a gross funds raised standpoint or a revenue standpoint. In terms of Chase covered a little bit about the number of donors. We've seen on average about 1,200 new donors annually across the four-year institutions when the athletic departments are fully engaged in this. So again, if you're looking at donor acquisition, if you're looking to broaden that base, it's a great way to do that. And then as we talked about in donor intelligence, this is another way for you to be able to dive in deeper with those contacts. We have this platform is fairly new. We've had it for about the last 8-9 months or so that it's been live. But this allows great detail for you and for those of you in development or advancement to broker the right conversation with the right people at the right time. So we get into affinity, capacity, propensity to give, all important factors. And you'd be able to get in and know, hey, this person's not just donated once, but they've donated to these types of educational institutions or whatever it is. So again, you can have the right conversation with the right people at the right time. All we're doing is taking the donor data that came in through this fundraising activity. We run it through our wealth screening software, and then that's what you see on the screen here. In fact, maybe Chase, you can remind me, I can't remember exactly where we left it with advancement there, but are they accessing this right now, or is this something that it's going to be just athletics?
This will just be athletics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Got it. Because I think they have their own wealth screening tool.
Which we certainly do, yeah,
Yep.
that the whole university system utilizes. Yep. This one, like I said, is a pretty good one in and of itself that I think honestly kind of shows a little bit better information than ours, but everyone has a different CRM. But so we're able to utilize the universities as well as this one now.
Want to say thank you again, Chase, for being here and doing this. And
certainly.
Yeah, and if there are any questions, feel free. We'd be happy to discuss anything with you afterwards. But thank you very much for your time.